It's recording. So, hi everybody. Welcome to the masterclass of solving sustainability data challenges. We're going to start in a very bit. And the first thing what we're going to do is introduce ourselves. So, it's me, Niclas, and it's Sophie. Sophie, if you would please introduce yourself to the crowd.
Hi, my name is Sophie Kieselbach. I'm a sustainability expert with over 15 years of experience in that sector. I had a lot of different projects in my business life where data issues have been a thing. And as an expert team lead at Makersite, I focus on getting the right data to ensure that the software functions optimally for the use cases applied.
Thank you very much. And here I'm Niclas. I'm with Makersite since last year, September, so it's already been 3 months. I'm not coming from the sustainability side, but I do have lots of experience with different system landscapes such as ERP, PIM, MDM, and so forth. This is also why I'm looking at mostly at the data topics today. And I'm leading the pre-sales department at Makersite. Nice to have you here. And I'm gonna go further, and we're gonna go shortly in introducing Makersite. We are a German-based SaaS company. We have now around about 80, well, a bit more than 80 people by now, and we have more than 30 enterprise customers. We did a great Series A funding in the end of October, whilst most of the startups and scale-ups had a bit problems with funding. We got 18 million. That is a great thing, and we also recognized by Forbes, Forrester, Gartner, and the ones you can see down there. And the next thing what we're going to do is quickly look over our agenda, what we want to do today. Usually everybody sees an introduction bullet here. That's what we left out, but we introduced ourselves anyway. What we're going to look at is now the sustainability maturity levels. So we did a survey and evaluation regarding data maturity in different industries. Then we're going to look into data for sustainability. Then we're going to look in data management in general. And then we're going to give you a couple of recommendations, actions to be taken, and go into a short QA session. Next thing, going to show you the sustainability maturity levels across the different industries. And what this basically should mean is that, if anybody of you thinks out there that my data isn't good in order to start projects, you're definitely not alone with that. Our findings were that around about three-fourths or three-quarters are new to this to data
Niclas,
in sustainability specifically. Around
I
about
can't
20%.
I can't see the slide.
Okay, now we're looking into sustainability maturity levels across the industries. So we did the survey and we got the feedback from out there that around about three-quarters do not have data and a real, let's say, plan for sustainability data. This is across different industries. Around about 20% are on an intermediate stage with their sustainability data and their plans regarding that. And only around about 4% do have actually data, and this is mainly coming, we see other industries, so that's again a mix, but is mainly coming from consumer packaged goods, where we will also understand that they have more regulations. What this should tell you is that if you think that you are not good with your data, you're not alone out there. This is something that is very common, and these are the challenges that needs to be tackled in the coming months, years, and I would say potentially even longer than that. Now going to the next slides, and we're looking now at the overall data intelligence, the core of it all. Again, meaning actually building the bridge towards what we just saw. The status quo is that there is not a lot of visibility on the data within the organization. And this is, again, the three-quarters that we saw. What you want is overall come to full transparency. That is here on the right-hand side of this slide, and that you really can cover the breadth of your organization with all the data that is created and that is held within your organization, and that you also understand that there is a transition period in between where you step by step actually widen your breadth in the visibility of the data, and this would represent the around about 20% that we saw before. So if you are on the left-hand side, be sure it's a transition period, include all the people, take into consideration what we talk about today, and you will then step by step get into the full transparency mode. Having that said, we're now going to look at data for sustainability and the data basics there. And this is where I would like to hand over to Sophie.
Thank you, Niclas. So we're talking about data for sustainability now. So as you all know, there are different drivers for sustainability. Most of them are coming from external sources, but there is a lot of internal, like intrinsic motivation as well to do sustainability and to cover sustainability topics. If you look at external drivers, there is market trends, regulatory requirements, we all know of them, customer needs and preferences, and internal drivers might be cost and feasibility. It could be that there is a change in a technological background, such as material change, manufacturing change, material supply disruptions, or the product performance itself. So if we're talking about these different drivers and the different topics that come out of these drivers, then we see that we basically need quite a lot of different data, right, to answer all the questions that come up to be sure that you actually have sustainable products. You need quite a lot of data out of different sources, and this list is for sure not a complete list, but it covers at least, I would say, that the main things that you need. So if we're talking about data that you need to somehow evaluate the sustainability of your products, we need bill of materials or bill of processes, which usually are in some sort of ERP or PLM system. We need material data that, again, usually in most of the cases are hidden in ERP systems and PLM systems and are somehow connected to the bill of materials. We need FMDs, which are also in ERP systems, but can also be in AHSQ systems. It might be that we need certificates of conformity if we're talking about compliance of certain materials or compliance of my own product. That could come from a QMS system or the AHSQ system again. We might need transaction data, cost data to understand like the changes of costs, or the changes in general on costs of my products or my product portfolio. It's coming from ERP systems usually. Then we need site data. Site data are very scattered, are usually really, or sometimes even site per site has different systems collected different. But if you're lucky, you can find them in these SCM systems, in MES systems, or again in EHSQ systems. You might want to understand your customer better, so you need customer data. That's again an ERP system. And as I said, that list is not complete. That might mean that you actually have a very scattered data landscape, and we all know that means that you usually and that's historically like that, you're collecting data from different sources, from different departments, from different persons to actually get full visibility on at least one product. There are though sourcing challenges that can be like a lot of different things. That can be data accessibility. It can be restrictions. Only one department can look at these data, the other can't. It can be that you have varying data quality standards between different systems. It can be that you have missing descriptions. It can be that you can't integrate data between the different databases and third-party providers because of missing links of the data, because they are not sketched out in the data landscape so that they all are connected to each other. It can be that they are inaccurate because there were manual entry errors, outdated information, inconsistent data. That it could be that you have for the same data point a variation of units or other inconsistencies, or it can be that you don't even have data for some of the sites. So with that, saying that, it's already clear from the beginning that any project that has to answer on sustainability topics will take time. As one of the examples, we took an innovation project that usually takes up to 3 years until it is on the market. And usually it looks a bit like this graph that we have sketched out. So you have customer pressure or a new regulation coming up, or you're losing market share. So basically, a person or a team gets the exercise to actually innovate or redo a product, reinvent the product. So you start basically with ideas, you try to understand your data, and you trash usually the first ideas. Basically you'll have the next idea, you climb the path of getting data together to understand if that idea is feasible. Unfortunately, again, you have to trash part of it. Next time it's the money that is missing. The other time, again, it's data that is actually telling you it's not a good idea. So you have quite a lot of cycles until you reach actually a product that is feasible for the market. And one of the reasons why it takes so long is usually that data are not at one place and are not there in a way so that people are faster in their decision processes or in their understanding of the directions that the direction they want to choose is actually a good direction. So we had the same with our customers. So we have customers that use Makersite, obviously, and we are integrating their data. And one thing that is very visible as on how we process that is that when you see your data gaps, right? So we start with the status quo of the data that are there, but we also give our customers insights on what data could be better, could be enhanced, where the gaps are. And that leads to usually to the point that they actually develop a better governance framework and they readjust on how data should look like within the company. And that leads to actually better quality of data. And that leads to faster and better decision making, reduced costs in any processes that you have to answer your sustainability questions, and actually also to better and more sustainable product designs. Yeah? So to lead over to data management, what actually does data management mean? And now I'm handing over back to Niclas.
Thank you very much, Sophie. All right. Yep, here we look at data management, and I'm going to go directly to the next slide. What is proper data management? And what I want to emphasize here is that that we understand it's highly important these days because it drives business decisions, it enhances your operational efficiency, and it fosters innovation. Overall, it is the systematic approach and organization, storage and maintenance of data. What it also implicates is if you do not take care of your data in a good way, it will cost you data. Therefore, we have a reference that we pulled out, and it says that when it costs organizations up to 12.8 million per year if you do not take care of your data in a good way. And on the other side, if you do take care of your data in a good way, and if you focus, for example, on ERP data, that would mean that you're kind of a part of the forerunners of and good position for a digital transformation. Please keep that in mind. I'm going to go to the next slide, and here we have an understanding of data governance. And what does that mean? Data governance, who is responsible for and affected by the data. So identifying the stakeholders, the data governance officers and the data stewards that help to ensure the accountability and efficient collaboration. What that means, actually, in simple words, like who's taking care of the data? Do you have dedicated people to do so? And do you also understand what it means if the data is not taken care of? So which people are affected? Do you also understand not only which people are affected, but also which goals and metrics are affected of your data governance framework? If we talk here, we're talking today about sustainability data. So it would mean if the data that we would need or that we take into consideration is not existent or is very inaccurate, then it would affect basically your sustainability goals if you don't have this in place in a proper way. And do you also understand how you store and manage data? We mentioned in the beginning ERP system, PLM system, MDM, and other systems. So these are basically the systems, and do you understand potentially also who is taking care of it? So do you have a link into your IT department who knows the system landscape in a good way, who understands which systems are interconnected, and so on and so on. Moving on from here into data stewardship, and also having now a couple of data governance frameworks here as examples. It's not that we recommend any of those, but just that you actually hear the keywords like DAMA, DMABOK, that you understand there is proper framework. So if you don't have one in place, maybe it makes sense for you and your organization to discover those and put maybe a framework in place that you know how your data is taken care of, and that you know that you, for example, also have a data steward in place. That would be the person. That would be the person who is responsible. That can be an entire team, but that can also be dedicated people from a team. It really depends on your organization. So now we're looking at the key indicators of effective data management. And if you think about the data in your organization and the data you work with, think about it in a way: do you have accurate data? Like, is it free from errors? Do you think positive of your data if you want to work with this data? And please think in source systems, not in information that's going to be sent over in an Excel sheet. Also ask yourself if the data across your organization and in different source systems, we mentioned before PLM and ERP, if it's consistent across the systems. One example could be the weight of the product in the ERP versus the weight of the product in the PLM system. Is that interchangeable? Is it well maintained in the same unit of measure? Is it the same weight? Is it accurate? And the last thing is the data available to you? So if you look for data, do you know where to look for? Do you know whom to ask? Or are you one of the persons who are authorized to go into the system and query the data yourself? These are three simple questions that should help you to indicate for yourself how effective your data management is at your organization. And now let me move to the next slide, and we're going to look at the best practices that we recommend in this way. So what you should do, and if you ask yourself the questions that we had before and you're not very confident about them, you should develop clear policies and enforce data management policies within your organization. You should conduct training sessions and create the right level of awareness on data governance and principles. That I think would even be part for anybody who's working with the data, should be part of even like a company onboarding, for example, if you think in terms of new colleagues, or if you want to conduct workshops throughout the years, and then if there's changes in data landscape and data maintenance, involve the people, make training sessions and make them aware. And definitely what you should do is monitor the data and the maturity across the different systems. So all the systems, they have the possibility to check for completeness, to check for accuracy, and make this also a habit within your organization that you look at the data frequently. Now we're going to come to the next topic, which is the recommendations we give, and a bit of also the insights of the way we at Makersite work and how we want to make this a good experience for us, and also especially a good experience for the people who work together with us. What we do is we have an early engagement. We conduct comprehensive data workshops and discuss the requirements, quality, and the sources of your data if you want to integrate with Makersite. We do this in an early stage, and we're going to come to a timeline later that you see where we do this, and actually that we do this long before we agree on working together in a long term. What we also do is we involve the right stakeholders. It was a couple of times mentioned by myself that you should understand who is taking care of the data and who knows the data or who knows the system landscape within your organization, that we can take these people on board and have them collaborate with us and with the projects we're working on, to ensure the prompt and effective resolution of data-related issues, meaning that we can address anything that can be improved, and that we are all aware of it and pull in the same direction. And what we see here now, that's an overview simply of how Makersite works. On the left upper corner, we see the different systems. So far, CAD system was not mentioned that often, but we see the PLM, ERP, MDM, PIM system potentially as well. That might be part of the data that goes into Makersite, and then what we want to connect, and where we then recommend definitely that there is data governance in place for the systems. We then connect them to the supply chains, to the supply chain data that we have is around about 140 data sources that we add onto this, and where we combine the information. Then we train our machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithms on that, connect all the information with graph models, and create then the outputs based on the use cases that we want to solve for our customers, like compliance, cost, sustainability, supply chain risk. Now, the next one, what I'm looking at, is then this timeline, and where I want to make you aware of how early we start the process. At the left-hand side, you see data discovery. So this is part of pre-implementation. So while you're talking to Makersite representatives and you're just looking at the solution together with us, we already want to, for sure, under NDA. So we don't want to take any of your data and then want to, well, look into your trade secrets and so on. But we want to understand how does your data look like in order to give you recommendations, in order to understand how to best set it up. We also involve at that point already an expert to do a data check. So really understanding, does the data also not only look good, and is there well, the gaps and all these kind of things, but also is the data that we look, is everything there for the use cases we want to solve? If we still have questions, if you still have questions and you want to have a bit of more proof, we could definitely go into a POC or in a pilot and work with the data and set everything up in Makersite. And once that is all good, and as you see on the top, we're going to go into a professional relationship with one another, then we're going to again conduct the data collection workshop, where we look at the data that is in scope for the project that we want to work on together with. Then we give you feedback on that. Then we enrich the data. That will be the part where we train our AI ML algorithms. And once all this is done and it's set up, we're gonna do a extract, transform, load. So we want to automate all this stream, that no human intervention is needed. We're gonna do a user acceptance test where you check the data, or where you check the entire setup and the system. We're gonna give you for sure also proper training, and then we go live. And moving on to the next one, where we're looking into, well, awareness. It correlates a bit with the slide that we've seen before, where we looked at the early engagement, and now we call it early awareness. And I think that's a very important one, that you also internally have the early awareness from us, that we give you the insights, that you can discuss the data quality internally, that you can maintain the data, and starting, well, with the project, before the project, and in general also maybe thinking about putting a data governance framework in place, that you have accurate input for accurate results, to ensure clean, consistent, and comprehensive input data for reliable results, develop a robust strategy, for example, like a governance framework, and identify and address the gaps that you have in your data, well, but also in your decision making, therefore. Now we want to recommend you a little bit here that good data helps you to keep and, well, to maybe get ahead, or to keep a competitive advantage. What I would recommend, and this is something I always say, and then throughout the years this really came up, starter projects, don't think that your data isn't good enough. It doesn't help if you think your data isn't good enough, because then you're never going to be ready. Start a project, use this project as a driver, and use this project as a reason to look inside your organization through the project. Then you have a good driver, and definitely can emphasize better that something like a data governance framework has to be put in place, and that you speed this up. That you also go to the next point, that you prioritize the data and the quality within your organization, because it is crucial to make these decisions. It's crucial to run the projects. You also might then understand that here and there you can consolidate information, so you can also increase your efficiency internally, and that you enable your long-term planning. Again, I think it always makes sense to start with the projects and take this advantage that it helps to look inside your organization when you start these projects. And now we're looking into the actions that we recommend to be taken. So moving forward here, data strategy, that's kind of a bit of a recap. So the awareness and understanding, be aware of the data and understand the system landscape. Then strive for completeness and accuracy in your data. Have a data strategy, so implement a data strategy with clear governance policies. Make sure that leadership is involved in that because it has to be a high priority. Have your best practices, so conduct regular audits, implement data validation and cleansing processes, educate your employees on data quality and management. And also speaking out of experience, yeah, you can do this. You don't have to always make a workshop for this. You can also just do this at the water cooler. Just let them know, hey, it worked really well as I worked with good and clean data. Just plant a seed for the people and then, yeah, make this a habit. And use advanced data management and integration tools. Now we're getting closer to the end. In a bit, we're going to have our Q&A session. But before we have the official Q&A, I also want to think about a couple of questions, if you can answer them for yourself. Who in your organization understands the system landscape? Do you know that person? Do you know whom to go to? If you say, yes, I know, and that's a good thing for you. If not, maybe do that tomorrow and check out who is the one who takes care of the system landscape and who understands it. Another one, who else in your organization has data-driven projects? If you're not alone, and if you can join forces, maybe this can be even delegated higher up, and data can become really a bigger priority within your organization if you have people, yeah, who have the same interests as you have in your organization. So if you don't know anybody who has data-driven projects, maybe ask around a little bit here and there, and ally with these people in order to make data a priority within your organization. Another one is, do you know if you have a data governance framework in place? That might be something what you also check together with the people who have data-driven projects, but also more the people who take care of the maintenance of the data and the source systems. And the last one is a bit of a more of a funny one, but I think this is where it should all go to. Did you ever think about how your work life would look like without Excel? So yeah, just have the thought of use as little Excel as possible. I know you cannot erase it from today to tomorrow. That's not really possible. But on the other hand, I think we should really think in systems and interconnected systems where Excel is at the end maybe a form of exchange between people, but not a form of exchange in the official ways. I think that is something soon we should look at this and then say this was yesterday and is not today anymore. Cool. And here we are with the Q&A session. And now I would involve Sophie a little bit again, because she definitely has a bit more experience on the questions that we have. So we have a couple of questions here collected. And Sophie, are you here?
I am here. I am here.
Wonderful. Then I would start with the first question and just read it out. How do you ensure quality of the data? Is there any integrated quality control process in your tool?
You want to start to answer the question, should I?
I can start, yeah. Well, if we integrate with your data and if we import the data, there is a QA report that runs over the data while importing it and gives you first insights on inconsistencies that occur, and well, also gives you feedback on what actions you could take.
Yeah, and again, as a second to that, we also have during implementation some quality like checkpoints, I would say, where we check the quality of incoming data, but as well, of course, the data connections that are built then in Makersite. Also, there is a lot of different QA reports within Makersite that will also help you when you then work with the data after implementation is done. Yeah. Nevertheless, the source data, so Makersite will discover gaps in your source data, but of course, like the data itself within your company, that is a control process that you will have to establish if it's not there already. Yeah.
Cool, thank you. The next one, I take the one underneath. And what percentage of primary data would you consider to be sufficient or having a successful effort of data gathering for creating an LCA? For me, that is something that needs to be really looked at case by case. Percentage, yes, we can gap fill to a certain degree, but if you mean percentage, we would also need a reference, a percentage of one product, of one BOM, or of one site or one product group. It really depends on. Up to a certain level, we can fill the gaps. And overall, I think this is a good example of where we would say, hey, let's do a data workshop. Let's look at your data and understand how good your coverage at the moment is.
Exactly. I also would say it's really so case by case. There's obviously industries are similar to each other, but still within the industry, every company has a different view on data and how they are organized. So you can't just answer them like with an, with a percentage. That's a case by case answer. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Sophie. Next one, the one right to it. How do you collect internal data versus external data? Internal, I think we covered quite well throughout the workshop today, or throughout the webinar today, or the masterclass. But well, external is something, and I know it also came up in the comments before. Maybe there's something where we can do another masterclass on. However, in Makersite, you have the possibility to send out information requests or questionnaires. These questionnaires are really aimed towards the use case. So you might have a compliance questionnaire where you ask for different regulated substances within a material component or within a product group, or yeah, you send out a PCF questionnaire, or you ask your supplier to upload their BOM. And what the good thing is about that is the supplier gets access to Makersite, and they can maintain this information directly at the data point where it's needed. So let's just assume you're asking for a PCF. They decide to upload their BOM. They can maintain their their BOM on this point, and then we're going to integrate it into the model and calculate it. Well, the external data collection is definitely something where you would need to reach out to your supplier one way or the other. We make it very easy for you. You can run email campaigns, you can follow up on them, and your supplier has the possibility to maintain the data directly in Makersite. Anything to add on this, Sophie, from your end?
No, I mean, the good thing within Makersite is actually that you can directly collect the data, and they're directly integrated, so you don't have a step in between. But I think besides that, yeah, Niclas answered it all. Yeah. So I think there's one related that is up there. When I talk to my suppliers, many of them do not yet have sustainability data for their products. How do I overcome this issue with Makersite? Yeah. So I think we covered quite a bit of it already. Makersite has gap filling processes. And there are many different ways on how you can solve that problem. Again, this is also an industry-based and company-based question that has to be answered. The one thing that is for sure, though, is like we have seen that also with our customers, when you have automated the data collection, which is no data collection anymore, it's a data integration, and automated the whole modeling, you can concentrate more on getting actually primary data from your suppliers, and that will speed up the whole process of getting primary data of your suppliers. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. I think nothing from my end to add. I'm going to read the last question now. How do Makersite implement company data to their system? Do you directly take data from the company's internal data management system? Well, first of all, I think it's systems, and we're going to combine them as well. Really depends on how you have set it up. We are API first solution. If you want to include your IT and you want to directly connect from your APIs to our APIs, yes, that's something we can do. If you have a data lake in place, for example, and you push the data to, well, a data lake, something like Azure Blob Storage or something like Snowflake or similar, then we can connect to these systems and pull the data from there. If you have a file-based approach where you say, hey, I want to put different raw files, and that's an important piece. We want to take the file like machine-to-machine communication. We want to take the files from your source system as they can be exported from your source systems. Then we can also just throw them on an SFTP. Let it be XML, Excel, CSV, JSON files. Really doesn't matter. We're gonna go into this ETL, so this extract, transform, load, exercise that we have as part of our implementation. We're going to transform the information from these files and going to pull it into our systems. And here it doesn't really matter if it's, you just call it here company data. If you also mean company data, like information around your company, like how many sites and production processes and energy consumption and so on, all of this falls under this approach that we take here. And that's also something what we discuss case by case and do it the easiest for our customers, but we also want to make it the highest automated level that can be achieved, that we can have a real machine-to-machine communication here.
Yeah, so I think we're at the end of the webinar. Thank you for your attendance. And as already stated, you will get the recording. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Bye-bye.